And just like that, we're back to losing these ugly games. And gosh, that one stunk. Bears lose again. Back to the losing ways. We're starting a new losing streak. They lose 19-13 to the Minnesota Vikings, who are 1-4 coming into this game, and without Justin Jefferson. It's weird that I'm saying this, but yeah, this is on the offense. Defense did not look bad today. They only let up 19 points. 20 and 19 in the last 2 weeks. I mean, not bad. If the offense, had any sort of games that they had earlier in the year, well, if they replicated what they did in the last 2 games, they would have won this game. But didn't happen today. Part of the reason why it didn't happen today was Justin Fields got hurt. Got hurt in the third quarter, left the game, and something that Bears fans were wishing for at the end of week 2 was for Tyson Bagent. And he got in. Not the way we expected Tyson Bagent to get his first NFL action, but the D2 star at Shepherd did not look that bad in his first NFL start from what I can put together. Tell you what, looked over my phone in the third quarter, saw that Fields had 10 passes, and it was in the second half. I'm like, there you go. Back to this. Why is he not throwing the football? Why are we handing the ball off? We don't have our top 2 running backs coming into this game. Khalil Herbert's out. Roshan Johnson's out. Deontay Foreman isn't a bad third option. And then Darrington Evans is the backup. So it's we're down our 2 best running backs. Why aren't we throwing the football? Why is Justin Fields went out in the third quarter and he threw the ball just 10 times by the time he exited the game? Why? That has been one of my biggest pet peeves with this team for years. Not throwing the football. They're just sticking to the run game, and even when it's not really working. And it's just so infuriating because that's where the attack is in the modern NFL. It's the passing game. It's not in the running game. The running game can be a very useful asset, but the main source of attack is through the air. And when your quarterback throws 10 passes in a little over 2 quarters, that's embarrassing. So no wonder his stat line looks absolutely terrible at 58 yards and a pick because he didn't throw at all. And the worst case scenario is here with Fields, because we knew that if the O-line continued to suffer and Fields had to continue running for his life, he had a pretty clean pocket these past couple weeks. Don't know what happened here. Vikings D-line just pressured him a ton, and it's not like he was, barraged, but he couldn't get away from Zeno Hunter, and he goes to the locker room with a head injury. Bagent plays the rest of the game and plays solid. Which makes me really confused now, because Bagent played less than half the game and he had more passing attempts in the game, and they decided now that Fields not in the game, we're going to throw the ball more with the D2 quarterback who has 0 NFL action. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what Luke Getsy's doing, just calling running plays a bunch. Fair. There's certain points where it's okay, we're going to run the football. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be running the football at all. But when you're down to your 3rd and 4th string running back and you have a quarterback who just threw for 300 yards, 8 touchdowns and 1 pick in the last 2 games and over 600 yards, you gotta let him throw the football. Why are we regressing back to old tendencies? Look what happens. It just frustrates me that this team finds something that works for 2 games, and then the next game they just abandon it. I don't know. And Fields threw a pick, yes, and he got hit as he threw it. So I have no idea if that throw, if it was on target, catches it. But, it's just one of those freak plays, like you see it all the time. It's becoming less and less apparent, but it happened twice in this game. Cousins had a similar thing. They ruled his as a fumble, but that one popped up in the air and was picked up by Tremaine Edmonds, and then Fields on the ensuing drive gets hit, pops up in the air, and it gets intercepted. And it's just, the Bears couldn't do anything offensively. There really aren't very many takeaways in this game for me. This feels like just an empty game, and I have no idea what the status on Justin Fields is. Have no idea what's going to happen with Tyson Bagent, because there were some throws that felt like were very much underthrown. He kind of showed why he was a D2 quarterback and did not play at a D1 school in this game a little bit, especially on the pick that he threw at the end of the game. He had more in the end zone probably, but he throws a duck, he underthrows it by a mile, and it's an easy interception for the defender. And I feel like what we're going to see here is some pretty easy passes, not necessarily trying to stretch the field too much with Bagent. But, it's like they didn't need to. They tried to take a shot at the end of the game, but that was the deepest ball he threw. He was doing some pretty routine, easy passes, and they were succeeding, and he was making the receiver make the play. And he was having some nice throws over the middle. Like, he didn't look bad. I didn't think he looked terrible for his first outing, especially coming in as a backup and as a rookie from a D2 school. I don't think it was terrible. Yeah, his stat line looks pretty bad considering he let through for under 100 yards and a pick, but he came in relief in the second half. If he plays the full game and they play like this, they probably win the game, considering how the defense played today. But it's just, something's always wrong. One side of the ball just can't seem to get it done, and they can't seem to play a complete game. And it's just like we've been watching the same story for years. Only the last pretty much calendar year, the problem has been the defense and not the offense. Or at least the more pressing issue, if you will, considering that they let up so many points throughout the day and the games. But they played well today. It looked like a game from 2019 where the offense just was stagnant, couldn't find a way to get anything going, stuck to the running game, passing game was non-existent, and they lose a slowly score game where neither team breaks 20. And this was something that happened across the NFL today. There really weren't many teams who were able to put 30-plus points up. I think there were only 2 teams all day who put up 30 points. There were a lot of one-score games, but they were not offensive shootouts, which for some reason some people thought this was going to be going into this game because the secondaries were so poor. Which, fair assumption, but you look at that game, the defenses actually kind of came out to play. But I will say, if the defense continues to play like this could be a good sign going forward. Obviously, maybe not this season, but going forward to next season, if we are able to keep some of these pieces and retool some of those parts that have been really poor so far this year, and retool and strengthen the defensive end, could be a good defense next year, which is really ridiculous to say. It probably also come with a new defensive play caller, because Matt Eberflus is definitely not cutting it. Eberflus is now 4-19 as Bears head coach, a .174 win percentage, easily the worst in franchise history. And if he doesn't start winning soon, obviously he's going to get fired at the end of the year. It doesn't really matter. If he doesn't start winning soon, he will be fired and probably will forever have the worst coaching record in Bears history, because there's no way this team can have another coach just have coached this poorly and the team played this horrendous during their tenure. It can't happen again, right? I don't know, man. This one is really frustrating, really annoying, and even though I only saw pretty much the highlights of this game, which included Bagent fumbling and the Vikings having a scoop and score touchdown, I don't know, man. I really don't know where to go, because it feels like whatever is going to happen, it was polar opposite to what we had been seeing during that 14-game losing streak. Offense sometimes couldn't do anything, and well, that just accentuated a loss because they were letting up 25-plus points every game. The defense was the major portion that I feel like was the problem. Of course, there were moments where Fields probably could have won a couple games with his arm and didn't, but it's just you can't keep letting up the amount of points that you had been giving up. So the fact that neither team scored 20 points today is honestly quite impressive with how poorly both defenses have been playing this season. They stepped up for the situation, and unfortunately for those defenses, one of those teams had to lose. Now, I know that everyone in this league, and anyone who follows this league, focuses on the offensive side of the ball. So a 19-13 game, they're like, it's a terrible game. Terrible game. Anyone who loves defense would love that game because there's a bunch of turnovers, and it's poor offensive play. And the defenses are really good. They make themselves look really good in these types of games. So, that's if there's any positive to take away from this boring game, pretty much. Defense at least played well, and they didn't even let up 20 points. Can't even remember the last time that the team did that. Which is really weird because this team is known for their defense, historically. So, that's interesting, but maybe there's something on the defensive end that with the passing of Dick Butkus, they can kind of rally around. They have the 51 patches on the jerseys for the rest of the year. Very good move. Really nice. We're all going to miss Dick Butkus. That still really hurts. But just defense came out to play. Offense struggled. There was not great play calling, a bunch of running, nothing through the air, despite the Vikings secondary being the weaker part of their defense. I don't know why we were running the football so much in this game. Obviously, Fields running is different, but just designed runs to Foreman and Evans, it just makes no sense. I get you want them to, get an opportunity, but okay, they've gotten opportunities here. Let's throw the football. What a concept. You can take the ball and you can throw it through the air to someone called a wide receiver. And that's usually how most teams today are able to find points and become explosive. I know, it's pretty crazy, but maybe Luke Getsy and the offense should continue to try throwing the football more often. I think that'd probably help. And again, I really don't care if Fields is not top 10 quarterback, even top 15 quarterback to some. Let him throw the football, or whoever's behind center. Let him throw the football. That's where this league is going. I'm sorry. I just really hate it when the offensive coordinator just abandons the passing game in a passing league and just decides to stick to a rushing attack that's not producing. It's just, maybe once every 5 plays they'll come up with a pass and play and then it's an incompletion. They're like, no, we got to keep going with the running the football. No. Just look at what other teams are doing. I know it's you want to have your own brand of football, but at some point you got to realize you got to pass the football more than 10 times in 2.5 quarters, pretty much. That to me is just ridiculous. You cannot throw for only 10 passes in this modern NFL and win and expect to win and expect to produce on offense because that's not going to happen. Especially not with the O-line the Bears have. They haven't been able to produce these big holes for these running backs to break off big runs. They've been able to get them positive yardage, but not nearly enough to sustain and to justify running the ball as much as they did in this game, especially with the bottom 2 running backs on their depth chart. That to me is why this thing is so infuriating and confusing, and that's why I'm harping on it. So the Bears get the Raiders at home this week. Maybe Aiden O'Connell starting. Jimmy G also got hurt. I don't know. So the Bears play the Raiders this week at home. Have no idea how that game's going to go, considering how they played here. Have no idea if Fields is even going to be ready, if we're going to have to roll Tyson Bagent. Have no idea what the Raiders are going to pull out. Devontae Adams looks like he may very well have another massive day against the Bears because the secondary is still a bit battered, but they played much better today. And they got Gordon back, they got Jackson back. So, yeah, no, the secondary is healed quite a bit, but still, Devontae Adams could have an explosive day. And this is going to be a tough one for the Bears. I hate the fact that I'm calling the Raiders a tough opponent. But, you know, what about the Bears this past week? In the past 10 days they had to prepare for this game tells you that in the next week they're going to properly prepare for the Raiders. Bears are 1-5. Don't think really many Bears fans expected them to start 1-5 this season. Maybe 2-4 as like a floor if they had a bad game against Tampa or Washington or Green Bay. They had bad games against two of them. They won against Washington, but frankly, if they have played up to what we were expecting and what Bears fans were hyping up, the team could be 5-1 with loss to the Chiefs there. But the Bears have proven that what all the talk that the Bears fans have been doing was an absolute mirage because this team is just not good. Not good still. And there's reasons on the field and there's reasons off the field and in the coaching staff. There's reasons in both areas, but a lot of people are blaming the coaching staff for more of the issues. That is fair and it's warranted, but there are a couple issues on the field here that we have been able to point out and we need to continue to point out because the Bears just continue to just shoot themselves in the foot with terrible decisions. So yeah, that's it. If you liked it, give it a like. Make sure you like it if you want to see more. And subscribe if you like what you saw. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.